Hey guys, welcome back to your channel. This is Maverick here with episode 3 of Dorohedoro. A little bit delayed, but I just got back and hopefully it's not going to be too much of a problem for you guys. Anyways, before we start, also I found that my episode 2 has been taken copyright claimed, and so it's been taken off. I'll try to re-upload that sometime soon, probably change a few settings as well in the future, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. Just a reminder, the video on screen, it's filtered, it's it's kind of transparent. It's really only there for a sort of reference. I always put the timer there, so if you guys want to watch along, you can watch along with me with your own legally obtained stream or video. So anyways, I guess you guys would also like to know that I'm actually starting to watch read the manga as well for Dorohedoro. I do find it quite intriguing, and I want to see like what is actually missing from this. And I have to say, not a lot. It does go, as with all things, those that are in text form and whatnot, you do get a little bit more information out of it. But for the most part, I feel like all the important scenes have been animated, and I can really see why people are saying that they really directly took everything from the manga, because literally a lot of the anime scenes are just taken frame for frame directly from the manga panels, right? Beyond that, as I pretty much expected, I do like the visuals, the artwork of the manga as well. Particularly Nikaido, I think she looks much better in the manga than she does in the anime. Same for the other girl, the other lady, Noi, as well. Ebisu is, I guess, about the same as of right now. But anyways, I'm not going to spoil myself by reading the manga, but I'll always catch up to the manga part once I go through a particular anime episode. So that way we can do it blind and still not miss out on any important information. One other thing to note is that it is a little bit more gory than the anime in terms of what is actually depicted, but the funny thing is I don't actually find it that gory compared to the anime. Also, it's a kind of weird there's a kind of weird balance here. In the manga, the things that are depicted are definitely more disgusting, if you will. Like you can literally see somebody's brain being exposed, or you can see somebody's spine being exposed, that kind of thing. You don't get that in the anime. However, with that being said, the anime, due to it being an animation, it has a lot of blood and whatnot, and it is being, well, animated. So in some sense, I would even think it's even more graphical violence than it is in the manga. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about. So there is, a sort of trade-off here, but overall, I don't really think that the bloodiness and goriness of the series was sacrificed in the anime adaptation. Let's put it that way. But anyways, continuing on to this episode, I was expecting, especially at the end of last episode, we're probably going to be seeing our first actual, equally balanced fight here, where Kaiman and Nikaido match up against Shin and Noi, who also seem to be fairly fairly good fighters on their own from the sorcerer's world, right? Right now, up to now, it's always been a one-sided massacre. Hopefully, we're going to be seeing some real good fighting in the upcoming episodes, and that's also going to be a good chance for the anime to stand out from manga form, right? Because with animation, you can pull off cooler stuff. So hopefully that is the case. Anyways, let's get into the episode. Alrighty, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Okay. Day of the Living Dead? Gather at the... What? What? Are we gonna have like a little contained zombie fighting section? Night of the Dead. Oh my god, they're going full meme with this, aren't they? Or the offer is. Alrighty. Okay, so some of you guys have been telling me to just keep the opening animation, so that's what I'm going to do from now on. So I guess we can just look more at this, right? But yeah, I do prefer the manga form Nikaido to the anime form Nikaido. I don't know, I feel like Nikaido just looks too much cartoony in a sense in the opening. I mean, sorry, not the opening, for the anime form. But oh well. I mean, she's still a badass, don't get me wrong. Welcome to chaos. What I'm thinking I'll probably do is, after every episode, I'll go back and read it in manga form to see if there's anything I missed or whatnot. If I have the time, anyways. That seems to be a nice way to go about doing this. Alright, let's begin. And like I said, Noe also looks better. Oh wait. Huh. So they can actually ascend. Ew. Look at her face. Damn, it can be healed just like that. Oh, and even her, wow, even her fingers as well. Damn. But if that's the case, then why does this Shin guy still have these amputated fingers? I wonder if maybe the source, because they need to use their fingers to do the sorcery, right? So I do wonder if perhaps he got his fingers from somebody else who has higher level sorcery? Something like that? The prizes? CDs, TVs, radios. Oh, Min Miss Minter. Plates? Not points? Okay. So it's like a game or, you know, an FPS or whatnot. What? Oh my god. I know, I just find that so hilarious that they actually have a controlled zombie event within the world of Dorohedoro. But if that's the case, why would poison work on them? Right? Oh. Oh, so they don't know about the zombies. I know, I just find this entire setting very hilarious. Alright. Ready for some zombie slaying. Oh, 2 hours later. I mean... But if this was the case, why don't they dismember the bodies before they bury them? Or here's a zombie? Is he gonna get eaten? Rah. I mean... there it is. Alright, here we go. And then, of course, these two are just comedic relief. Ooh, yeah. But she can heal herself. And the rest of them are just like, oh, oh, damn. Oh, oh. Her arms also broken, aren't they? Hmm. Just like that. What now? Woohoo! Eat him? Hmm. That is a lot of blood. Ooh. Wait, but that doesn't... Is he just gonna be unleashed? Oh wait, she's a sorcerer? Ho ho! Well, he's... I would have never thought a poison ball would work on zombies. But alright. Yeah. And already back? Look at the regenerative powers of this guy. Any disorders? Oh, he didn't know? Okay. Yeah, he probably realizes now. Damn, she's a sorcerer, and she's this strong as well. I wonder what her story is. Oh, his old head? Damn. Oh, she actually turned into a zombie? And Noi's actually wearing a dress too. Back to this alleyway. Ooh, what? Oh, bad dream again. That was probably Kaiman. Would it? There's a brain in there? Well, I guess that's to be expected. Is his head gonna start moving? What now? Huh. He's having delusions again? Yeah. Or are they actually delusions, or is it an effect of a spell or something? Nothing. Pitch black. Oh. Huh. Huh. For time being, just eat. Yeah. This looks cool. And it can transform as oh yeah, that's right. So actually, I kind of forgot if they actually showed it in the anime before, but these sorcerers do fly on brooms. And they are actually witches. Oh, is this a new ending? Okay. Well, I guess we'll watch this one as well. Alright. Nice overview of the actual world, also. You know, get a better feel of how it actually looks like. Seems a lot brighter than it does in the anime. Huh. This is only episode 3. But then again, the music group for this is No Name, right? They got tons of music they can use. Yeah, it's No Name. Like I said before, No Name is a great music group. I love their music. This is actually quite different than uh what I'm familiar with from them. To me, they're more of a rock slash pop style. But for all the songs in this series so far, it has been more, I guess, electronic in a way, electronic inspired. Zombies are weak to salt. Nakaido's a woman from the past. Okay, nice. Alrighty, so that was episode 3 of Dorohedoro. And so I also went through and read the chapters that adapted. It actually adapted 2, I believe chapter 8 and chapter 9, or is it 9 and 10? But anyways, again, not really much was left out from the manga part. But just to give you guys there were a few things, right? And if you don't want to listen to it, I guess I'll hold up a spoiler finger. So if you don't want me to spoil anything, you can just wait until I put down my finger. Although honestly, if you're anime only, I think it would do you good to actually listen to this stuff, right? So there's only a few things. First of all, so we see that in this episode, Nikaido turned out to be a magic user, right? And of course, one of the things being said here was she wonders what's going to happen when Kaiman finds out, right? So in the manga, they actually expand on this a little bit. Currently, Nikaido still doesn't think Kaiman knows because the ending of this episode was kind of ambiguous, where it wasn't quite clear if Kaiman is showing that he knows and he's just choosing to ignore it. In the manga, it seems that Nikaido thinks Kaiman still doesn't not know, and that is that, right? Personally, I feel like Kaiman, especially with a particular scene both in the anime and in manga, he probably knows. He probably knows. He's just choosing to keep quiet for now and wait until Nikaido actually tells him herself, right? Number 2 is actually this was not particularly animated in this episode, but because Shin is starting to do his investigation into the sorcerer that turned Kaiman into this lizard man, he went back to In and asked him about and told him about his findings and asking for more resources to investigate further, right? And it seems that In knows something about the man inside Kaiman, right? He suspects something because once Shin actually described to him the attributes of Kaiman and whatnot, he sort of like there was a panel where it really focused on just In, and I feel like a lot of times this means that he knows something. He's just not choosing to to fully acknowledge it yet. So that's number 2. And number 3 is, I guess, a little bit more, a little bit uh, it's more trivial, I guess you could say, but Kaiman actually asked Nikaido to train him in hand-to-hand combat. As we can see here, he's clearly outclassed. He's been relying on his magic immunity way too long, and so he's actually asking Nikaido to train him better so he has better moves and whatnot, and so on and so forth, right? Because we can obviously see that Nikaido is the one with the moves. Kaiman just has this OP magic immunity, right? Although, of course, not that it did Nikaido any good, since she's still. It, I guess because she's choosing not to use her magic, that puts her at a disadvantage, right? They both have equal, both her and Noi were equally skilled in terms of landing hits and the power that they put behind their hits. But the thing is, Noi is able to shake that off because she can heal herself, right? So even though they're both with the same kind of strength, Nikaido is at a disadvantage because she doesn't have the regen powers. Alright, so that's what I think the anime actually missed doing, and so let's go on and talk about the actual anime at hand, right? So, of course, first of all, we gotta talk about this sort of living dead situation, right? Because I guess it's not really a big part of the episode in hand, but it was a backdrop to it, right? And I was laughing my ass off because I thought it was sort of like a very meme-like thing to do, right? And not to mention it really wasn't important at all. It was just sort of like the background for the initial meeting between Kaiman and Nikaido and Shin and Noi, right? But at the same time, though, I guess it's not really correct to call it a meme because the manga for Dorohedoro started in the year 2000, right? And that was long before the oversaturation of the zombie genre, right? Like how, you know, there's so many zombie games and all the FPS games nowadays need to have a zombie mode. All the, I guess, open world games also have to have a zombie mode. You know, that kind of oversaturation. You know, you got all the World War Z's, the Living Deads, and DayZ's, and so on and so forth, right? But that was back in the year 2000. That was a time when I think the only mainstream video game related or I guess not ACG related stuff with zombies was, I guess, the Resident Evil series, and what else? Silent Hill, something like this. But anyways, of that kind, right? Of course, there's lots of zombie work, and more traditional zombie work, but I mean in terms of indie ACG genre. So I guess it's not really correct to call it a meme, but I don't know. To me personally, especially in this day and age, in 2020, I find it pretty funny that they use it as a sort of a backdrop to the actual story at hand. It's just, to me, it just seems fun in this current context, right? Even though that wasn't the original intention there. And to be honest, I think even back then the author was probably just having a little bit of fun, right? Because if you really think about it, there's a lot of holes in, you know, why there is this kind of event in the freaking hole, in the freaking city, right? Because, like, if this really was a case, and they made it into an annual event, right? So it's clear that they already knew of this kind of situation happening. They could have, like, I don't know, they not have cemeteries, right? You can burn the bodies, you can dismember the bodies, or whatnot. Why would you have to leave a complete corpse in there if there's, you know, every year they're going to reanimate as zombies, right? So, I don't know, man. Not really sure if that really makes sense, but then again, this entire series doesn't necessarily need to make sense. It's just weird and cool in its own unique way, right? So, though a lot of, you know, for the more serious types of works, I actually go in and I criticize these kind of things, these kind of plot holes, because I think that's a result of the author not really thinking things through. For this kind of series, I can actually forgive it for that. And no, that's not being a hypocrite. It's just simply acknowledging the fact that this is a series that's a little bit more wacky. It's a little bit more loony, right? And things don't necessarily have to make sense. So, there we go. And of course, we did see the first real fight, and what I love is both sides showed much more power than we've seen so far, right? They're not going up against these, you know, lower tiered enemies. They're actually going against each other who are of equal power and whatnot. So we learn a lot more. You know, we learn about Shin's abilities, we learn about Noi's abilities and powers and whatnot. You know, Kaiman's resilience, the fact that he can lose his head and still be fine, and of course, Nikaido and being a magic user, right? Man, that was an awesome reveal. I did not expect that at all. And I guess in terms of the actual scenes, compared to the manga, you actually get a better sense of impact, right? I wouldn't say it's particularly well animated, but, you know, with all the hits, it's particularly between Noi and Nikaido, when they were doing hand-to-hand combat, you can really feel the impact of that. You can feel like, ugh, that's gotta hurt, you know, bones breaking, organs being crushed, and so on and so forth, right? That's something that you don't get from manga form, so I did like how they did that there. Of course, if you really wanted to do it in manga form, you could. You know, you can do it like Mortal Kombat style, fatality, and then show like an X-ray vision and whatnot. But the manga did not choose to do that. So that's something I did like from the anime. You know, it really showed you. You know, you really felt that that really hurts, right? And that's a strength of the genre. And with most adaptations, that's what I'm looking for, right? How can you improve upon the manga? Because you're always going to have shortcomings in terms of the plot and story, right? There's simply, as a format, anime is simply not enough to fully adapt everything from either manga form or light novel form. But it has its own strengths, and that's what the anime should focus on. So yeah. Another part that I actually did really good was the dissection scene. You know, when the power went out and everything went pitch black, it actually gave a much more atmospheric feel to it. You know, you really get a sense of, hey, it actually does live up to the sort of horror genre title, right? Because you get this sense of foreboding. You know, when is the jump scare gonna come out? Like, when are the nightmares gonna happen? Something like that, right? That's something that I didn't get from the manga. The manga seemed pretty tame, honestly, in terms of that part. Yeah, it's still pitch black and whatnot, but because, you know, it is a darker anime, I mean, it is a darker manga anyways, it didn't really do much for me. But in anime form, I actually got to, you know, you get this sense of anticipation and foreboding, and, you know, you just want to know what happens next, right? So that's also something that the anime did very well, and that is a plus for the anime. So anyways, you know, in summary, I'm really enjoying this series so far, actually. It's probably one of my favorites for this season, funnily enough. Also alongside a few more as well, but, you know, there's just tons of story to go through, right? And there's so much to explore with this current setting. I love it. The characters are interesting, the setting is interesting, you know, there's lots of things. And see, the thing about this is that I do like stuff where, you know, I don't have to focus too much on suspension of disbelief to get through a certain event that the author thinks happen. But, you know, if you really think about it, it really makes no sense, right? That's the beauty of these series that have settings that are sort of nonsensical and more fantasy based, right? It doesn't necessarily have to make sense. You can still get a kick out of it, and, you know, you're really looking at the author's creativity here, and so far it's been great, right? It's, and, you know, this weird mash of you know, this sort of I wouldn't even call it cyberpunk, maybe more steampunkish in a sense, and, you know, combined with this sort of, you know, this rundown atmosphere, and then you got the sorcerer side, and then you know, there's a contrast there, but even the sorcerer side, it's not all, you know, it's not completely, you know, elegant as well. It's also got its very weird quirks in there. I mean, definitely it's elegant, right? They are of a much higher class than that of those in the whole, but still, you know, they got their weird things in there as well. And even though it is sort of a gory series, I don't think that it's gory to the point where, you know, it actually becomes a turnoff to the series. So, man, I'm just enjoying it very much as of right now. One final thing to note, actually, is that, you know, before this episode, and you know, between episodes 2 and 3, between the chapters that they adapted, there was actually a sort of an extra chapter as well, which showed a little bit more into the workings and the world of the sorcerers. And I guess I'll just quickly mention that here as well. And so that is, you know, spoiler finger. And so that is the fact that the masks are actually granted to them. They are granted to these sorcerers through a sort of a special figure, let's just say. And so it's not a case of, these masks do represent a status symbol. Those who have masks are of a higher level, higher tier than those who don't have. So those who don't have masks are always striving to become, you know, part of the elite, and the elite have masks on them. And that is defined by their powers and whatnot. And let's just say that there's a very big difference in the way people are treated for those who are just normal sorcerers versus those that are of the elite and they have their own masks, right? It's completely different, I mean, well, I guess we can sort of infer that from the anime itself, but, you know, to look at the difference in treatment, you really get the idea that there is a very distinct tiering system that they have going on within the sorcerer society as well. So you got the elites, you got the normal sorcerers, and then you got the, you know, the rest of the inhabitants of the whole, and I guess of other worlds as well at the very bottom. So yeah, there we go. That was my review for episode 3 of Dorohedoro. I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.